Good morning / good afternoon, you guys. So if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're, I am a work-at-home mama with an almost 2-year-old, and I just married my high school sweetheart. So I think I finally came up with a name that I want to call you guys. I think I'm going to call you guys the CampFam, and I will put a little, I'll do a little text there so that you guys know exactly what I just said. But welcome, CampFam. So today's video is kind of in a little bit of a different setting. I am in the back seat of my car. It is kind of cold. I'm just in front of my apartment building. Hopefully I don't get weird looks, but at the same time, I really don't care. In today's video, I will be doing a recap on my first pregnancy with Rebeka. So if you wanted to watch that, stay tuned, and we will get into it. Alright, you guys, so I am going to try and film all of this just right now, but it'll be split into 2 parts, or 2 different videos, just because I don't want it to be too long, but at the same time, if I can get it to be, I don't know, if it's pretty short, then I'll just do it in one video, but you might see me change shirts, and that's just because I didn't have enough time to film all of it in one go, or all in one day, or anything like that. So we are going to start off with the first trimester. So I found out I was pregnant pretty early on. So how I found out I was pregnant, to be completely honest, TMI warning. I got a UTI about a week before I was supposed to start, or the week I was supposed to start my period. And I went to an Instacare. The first question they ask you is, are you pregnant? I said no, because I honestly didn't think I was. I wasn't having any of the symptoms. And again, that was the week that I was starting my period. So I told them no, and they checked my urine, found out that I had a UTI, which is completely fine. And the day before I was supposed to stop taking my pills, I was supposed to start. And they told me that to wait 24 hours just to let all of the stuff leave my system and let my body kind of relax after the UTI. They said just to wait 24 hours, and then my period should come the next day. So I waited actually 48 hours before, my period is late sometimes anyway, and it sometimes isn't until that 3rd day that I actually start my period. So I waited 48 hours, my period hadn't come. I waited another 24 hours, so 72 altogether, and kind of started to get a little panicky because my period still hadn't come. On that 4th day, I ended up getting that paid that day, and so I went and bought a pregnancy test. I took it early in the morning, when they tell you to, just for the most accurate results. And I went back to mine and my husband's room because we were living at his parents' at the time, and my husband had to go to the restroom, so I was waiting for it. I had the clear blue ones with the little dots that says pregnant or not pregnant, and I was waiting for that fourth little line to stop blinking and to tell me what it was, and right as it said pregnant and I looked at it, my husband walked in, so I didn't get a chance to surprise him or anything. Maybe I can do it with the next baby when we get pregnant again, but yeah, he saw my face and I was looking at it and I was like, oh my gosh. And then he goes, what does it say? And I looked over and he's staring at me and I was like, and I just flipped it over. It said pregnant. He got really, really excited. I was really excited. A couple of days later, we went to my parents' house. They were moving and still had a few of my boxes, and they had kicked me out. So, they told me to come get my stuff immediately. So I went over there to get the rest of my boxes and to help them take their stuff to their storage unit. I wasn't really doing much. The first person I wanted to tell was my little brother. We had issues in the past where he would tell my parents everything, but for the past 3-4 months, he didn't even really talk to my parents, and I knew that, and he always wanted to know when he was going to become an uncle, so he was the first person I told on my side, or even told in general. Well, no, not told in general, just the first person fully related to me that I told, because I told my stepsister, because we were worried about how my dad was going to react. So she was going to be with me when I told my stepdad that I was pregnant. Again, we were worried about his reaction. So I told my little brother, and the first thing he did that day, seriously, we were still there. We were almost done with everything. And he told my mother. And I honestly thought my mom was going to be excited. It's her first blood-related grandchild. So I thought, and she's been complaining for years about how she wanted a grandchild, and she couldn't wait for her kids to have children. And my mom comes outside while all of the guys that were helping us, so my uncle, Ryker, my husband, and a couple of my other uncles, I believe, they went to go take the stuff to the storage unit, so they were all gone. And my mom comes out, Ryker wasn't taking stuff to the storage unit. Ryker was with me, sorry. All the other guys had taken stuff to the storage unit, so it was honestly just my little brother and me, Ryker, and my mom. And my mom comes outside and she goes, "You're not, are you?" And I go, "What are you talking about, Mom? I'm not what?" I'm trying to play it off as much as I can because, and I knew exactly what she was talking about, but when your mom says you aren't, are you, there are actually quite a bit of things that they could mean. And I just kept being like, "I'm not what, Mom? I'm not what?" And she was just like, "You're not, are you?" And I was like, "What do you mean, Mom?" She was, "Well, a little birdie told me something." And you can see my little brother with the door cracked open a bit, kind of hiding behind the door. And I go, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Little birdie told me that you're pregnant. You're not, are you?" And I go, I am pregnant." And my mom was pissed. Then, I hadn't really spoken to my mom, and when I had, it was fighting. So, I paid to get my older brother's car out of the shop. I paid almost $400 for that car. And he was supposed to pay me back. Well, he told me it was going to be my car, and he was still going to pay me back for that car because I had gotten it out of the shop when he had no money. So, he was throwing a fit about how it's his car and he doesn't need to pay me any money, even though literally it was my money that got his stupid ass that car. So my mom was mad that I was getting mad that my brother wasn't paying me the $400 for that car that I paid to get out of the shop. And so that was just constant yelling. She threatened to take away my phone and to take me off of her plan, and I honestly just told her, fine, do it. But I got my stepdad involved, and he was like, your mom's just angry lately, I don't know why. And this is before he found out that I was pregnant. So, my dad tells her, shut up. Like, Cameron owes her that money. It's rightfully owed to Stephanie. So, no, Cameron needs to pay her that money. He needs to step up and be a man. So, you can't keep fighting with Stephanie on this. Cameron and Stephanie need to work it out themselves. And if Cameron's gonna be a douche, fine. I will talk to Cameron because he owes her that money. I honestly, we were looking for a doctor actively, an OBGYN, and we didn't end up finding one until I was 12 weeks. 12 to 13 weeks is what the estimated week was when I went in for my first appointment. But my family ended up doing a family dinner with my stepsisters down, and they had invited me to go. My mom was not happy about it, but I decided to go anyway. I wanted to tell my dad that I was pregnant. At this point, Cameron knew, my older brother, two of my stepsisters knew, my little brother knew, my mom knew, and I think my older sister knew. And so it was honestly just like two people that I was telling that day. But my dad called me early that morning and said, hey, are you coming to the family dinner tonight? I'm really excited. I've been wanting to see you. I miss you, I hate that you're fighting with your mom. And I was like, yeah, I hate that I'm fighting with mom too, but, she's frustrating the hell out of me because I'm bringing her first fully blooded related grandchild, and she's not happy. So, I go, yeah, I'm coming. Hey, I gotta run. I have a doctor's appointment. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, no worries. I went to the doctor's appointment. We found out that we were 12, 13 weeks. He estimated more 12 than 13. I got a whole bunch of ultrasound pictures. And I ended up, I cut them all up. And the first one that we had received of what she had looked like before we found out the gender, I copied it on a piece of paper and cut it out so that I could give that copy to my dad when I told him. So Ryker didn't end up going to that family dinner because, again, we were worried about what my dad was going to do when he found out that I was pregnant. So he stayed home. Everyone else was there. And my dad goes, hey, I'm going to go have a smoke. And I go, hey, Dad, can I talk to you for a second? And both of the stepsisters that knew came out with me. And he's like, yeah, totally. So we're outside. I wait for him to go get a smoke from his car and to come back. And I'm talking to my stepsisters, and I'm like, I'm so nervous. Like, I am freaking out. Don't know what's going to happen. They were worried that he was going to hit me, which is one of the main reasons why they were there, because if he got overly angry, they can take him. So they were all prepared to stop him if he tried to do anything that wasn't happy. So I'm talking to him, and I go, hey, you know how I told you I had a doctor's appointment today? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, well, there's a reason why. I'm pregnant, and we had to go to the first ultrasound. And he goes, oh my gosh, really? And I go, yeah, I'm pregnant. And he goes, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so happy for you. So he reacted really, really well. Funnily enough, we were supposed to be worried about my mom the entire time. Well, we go inside, and my mom goes, so, what do you think about the news? And my dad goes, I'm happy, I'm excited. And my mom goes, I'm not. And my older brother, Cameron, goes, Mom, shut the fuck up. Stop being such a bitch. She's 18, she doesn't live with you, she's graduated, like, she's an adult, get the fuck over yourself. Like, you can't do anything to stop it. At this point, me and Ryker were already engaged, but my mom refused to believe that because we didn't have pictures. I love my mom dearly, but she drives me nuts. From then on, and I'm not even joking about this part, up until I had the baby, every morning my dad would call me. If I missed the call, I'd call him back. We'd talk for a little bit. But most of the time I answered, because it was after I was awake and while I wasn't working, obviously, because I wasn't working at that time. Or if I was, it was like 4 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. So I was working at like a later time, like an evening time more so, while I was working, if I was working. And then every night he would send me a text. So not only would he call me every morning, I'd get a text every night. And most of that would consist of, how are you doing? How's baby doing? Is baby doing any new things? Can you feel baby? You know, is there anything you need? What do you need to buy now? Like, anything like that, my dad was totally for. My mom refused to talk to me at this point. So during my first trimester, the symptoms that I had, now going into it, I had very, very bad morning sickness. So, I was working early mornings at first, up until, actually, like 13 weeks, up until I was 13 weeks. Because early mornings were just really, really hard on me. That's when my morning sickness was the worst. I mean, my morning sickness was bad just in general throughout the day, but it was really bad in the morning. I had a really hard time waking up because the first thing I would do is throw up, and then I'd be late to work. So I had tried changing my my schedule so that I could go in later so that I wasn't throwing up right before I got to work. And they tell you to give a reason as to why you want to change your schedule. I had been there for several months, and because you have to be there for 3 months before you can change your schedule, and I had been there for about 5. So I was like, hey, the reason I was like, I need to change my schedule from this time to this time because I'm pregnant, and mornings are not good for me. Like, I'm throwing up for like 4 hours straight in the morning. It is not fun. And they denied me and then fired me. I ended up switching a day with a coworker because I ended up having a doctor's appointment that day and completely spaced it until the day before. And or I think it was 14 weeks that I stopped working there. And So we had switched shifts, and the next day, or that night, before the day I was supposed to go to work, I went to go check my schedule, and it refused to let me in. So then I called them and was like, hey, it's not letting me see my schedule. What do I work tomorrow? I should have written it down, but I honestly don't remember. And they go, oh, yeah, you don't work for us anymore. We fired you. And I was like, what? And they go, yeah, you no longer work for us. And I go, when did you fire me? And they're like, well, today. You should have gotten an email about it and a phone call. And I go, I didn't get either from you guys. Like, I didn't know I was fired. And I was like, why was I fired? And they were like, well, you tried to change your schedule. And I was like, I've been working there for 5 months, almost 6 months. You can change your schedule after 3 months. The whole reason I changed it was because I was pregnant. And because in the morning, I literally throw up for 4 hours. I start work at 11. I'm supposed to be there at 10:30. And from 10 o'clock, from 6 a.m. until 10 o'clock, I'm literally throwing up. I'm not going to be in my work clothes throwing up and then go to work smelling like throw up. So, yeah, I tried changing my schedule. They didn't like that. I got fired. I was pissed. I ended up reporting them to BBB. I think it's the Better Business Bureau, because they had no right to fire me over that. That's just plain stupid. One of the hardest things during my first trimester was what I ate. So, I ate, there are literally only like 3 things that I could eat. Here's the issue. I was specifically told at my first ultrasound that I'm not allowed to have Panda at all. The only thing that Rebeka wanted while I was pregnant, like literally the entire 3 trimesters, the only thing she wanted was Panda Express. Oops. Not sorry. She still loves it to this day, though. Another thing that grosses a lot of pregnant women out while they're pregnant is pickles. That was one of the only things that I could eat. Pickles and Panda. That doesn't sound great, does it? And I mean, I would eat like half a jar to myself in a day. Space it out a few hours, but I'd space it out to the whole day, but I'd still end up eating half a jar. His parents had to buy a lot of pickles, because not only was I eating the pickles, but my nephew, one of Ryker's nephews before we were married, he was eating a lot of pickles as well while I was pregnant. So, not only was I eating them, but he was eating them. So, another thing, and this is going to sound really weird. Another thing was, I don't know how to explain it. So, Subway. Another thing was Subway that I was able to eat. But what went along with that, because the Subway part's not weird, it's not pregnancy craving, is I had to be the one to think of Subway, and it had to be in the middle of the day. Like if it was in the morning or late, close to like 6:30, it wouldn't sound good. If it was like 12 o'clock, 1, and I was like, hey, I want Subway, we'd go get Subway, because otherwise, we'd just end up getting Panda again. Like, I swear to God, I ate Panda for like 3 meals for almost my entire pregnancy. Every once in a while, I'd eat Subway, but again, if Ryker thought of it, I didn't want it. If it was early in the morning, or like too early in the afternoon, or really late at night, it didn't sound good to me. So either way, and it didn't sound good very often. It was maybe like once a month, once every 2 months. So yeah, Subway was only maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months, which was rough because all the other times I was eating Panda and Ryker was sick of Panda by the time we had Becky, and so was I, actually, to be completely honest. The things I experienced during my first trimester was the little butterfly kicks. Oh, that felt so amazing. She moved quite a bit. And then, honestly, during my first trimester, I mean, it was rough, but I was pretty happy because I was pregnant. I was developing a little baby in my stomach, and Ryker was just the cutest husband in the world. Proudest father ever while I was pregnant, especially during the first trimester. How our families reacted in the first trimester. So I told you my side. It was rough. Ryker's family was just kind of, oh, okay. Well, you guys need to get jobs and try finding a place because you guys aren't gonna want to be stuck here forever. And we were like, yeah, no, we don't. Second trimester, I still had morning sickness. Again, the only things that I could keep down during my entire pregnancy was really 2 items. Maybe a third every once in a while. A Panda Express, pickles, things that I experienced. I could feel her kicks a little bit more. Her hiccuping was really funny while she was in the womb because she hiccuped a lot during my second trimester. One of the less fun things that Becky did during my during my second trimester was that she started putting her foot in my ribs, and she'd kick my ribs as well. So when she wasn't kicking my ribs, she had her foot wedged in there. I'm not joking. Like, you could see it on the ultrasounds. It wasn't fun. My ribs still hurt every once in a while. If I laugh too hard, my ribs kill. And she still loves bouncing on me. She's a weird child. She's definitely bouncy. Like, she was bouncy inside the womb, and she's very, very bouncy outside of the womb. So it kind of goes hand in hand. She's kind of weird. I was doing a little bit better during my second trimester than I was my first. That's because I had gotten used to a lot of those symptoms. I had really bad heartburn. It started in my second trimester. It drove me nuts. Up until I gave birth, I had a hard time laying down. I had a hard time sitting. It drove me nuts. I'd have to take, I'm not even joking, like 6 of the Tums throughout one night just to sleep. It drove me nuts. I did not sleep a whole lot during my second and third trimester just due to heartburn and acid reflux and all of that. So I got most sleep in my first trimester, which was crap. Had my mother changed between my first and second trimester? No. My mom refused to talk to me during my first trimester after I told my dad, straight up. Or, well, before I told my dad, because even at that family dinner, my mom refused to talk to me, which is fine. During my entire second trimester, literally, my mom refused to talk to me up until about 2 weeks before I gave birth, because that's when we did my baby showers. Yeah. That sucked. Talk about doing things literally last minute. I had to do 2 separate baby showers, but I will get into that.